I had to take care of a couple things. It's resolved now, though. Oh, who? Just before we begin, who was the person that said they were recording yesterday? Okay, I was thinking yesterday. Do you think it would be a good idea to like put some short clips of this on YouTube with like a link to the server or something? Okay. Well, I don't know. I don't have time to do any of that stuff. But if anyone wants to do that, or if anyone's willing to do that for me, then I'm open to that. I don't have a problem with that. I think probably don't put the whole thing on there, but I don't know. If anyone wants to like clip stuff and put it on, that's fine. Yeah, I was thinking about that as well. Like, will people just like take advantage of it or something? But true, but I think you will be surprised, like how lazy and like stupid some people are. Like, even if you give them the information, most people can't do it anyway. Yeah, Reddit. I don't like those people too much. Yeah, it kind of is anyway. Like I have to filter them out, but you know. So yeah, if anyone would clip stuff and put it on YouTube, you're welcome to do that. But I'm still undecided. I think that's okay. I'm still undecided. Anyway, today we're going to be recapping a lot of stuff up to about here. Okay, up to about slide 8. So, you know, we're already 3 minutes in. We may as well begin. Remember, as always, the man who asks a question is a fool for a minute. The man who does not ask is a fool for life. Maybe that's not true, actually, because they'll probably find out the answer at some point. You know, you may as well ask. These are just questions we went over yesterday, right? So some places will make you sign an NDA or like show your ID or something like that. Some places won't. Okay, really depends on the person. I know one of the agencies wants ID, another I'm not even sure. Anyway, it's not unusual for people to want ID in this industry. Number one, to make sure you're over 18, because you know, agencies do not want to get into that kind of trouble. Believe me. Number two is just to make sure, like, there's a lot of like shadiness that sometimes goes on in this. I mean, never with me or people I work with, but I've seen some chatters do. Well, I've seen agencies do shady things. I've seen chatters do shady things as well. Okay, it works both ways. So I guess there's a kind of trust element there. I've never asked for anyone's ID that I've employed personally, but I know some people do. So jobs right now, I don't even know how many there is. It's probably like quite a few. I don't know an exact number, but again, like I'm not doing this training if there's no jobs, just because it doesn't earn me any money. And like I quite enjoy doing this, but I wouldn't do it for completely free. Even though everyone here is training for free, I wouldn't do it for completely free. Um, and then I will decide how you get placed, pretty much. Yeah, but like maybe that's something you need to think about. What's the big deal? I don't give a fuck if people get my ID or not. They're not going to do anything with it. But that's up to you. If you want that to restrict you, that's up to you. Um, and the recent, yeah, you could. Someone got caught doing that actually. There was a Nigerian ID that was passed around, and I really didn't like that guy. Anyway, long story. It doesn't matter. He got kicked in the end. Um, I'm going to train you to a high level, right? I mean, hopefully you kind of understand from yesterday. This is not some kind of basic bullshit. I actually know what I'm talking about. I'm not just one of those kind of loudmouth chatting managers who thinks they know everything. Okay, I've done this job. I've been in your position. Okay, I know how it is. Most people don't. It's not an easy job. So if you remember, like I made a big deal of this yesterday, I'm going to make a big deal of it today and tomorrow because it's important, right? That's okay. You can interrupt. I don't mind. So like when you're talking to these guys, right? The whole point of this is that this is often a battle of manipulation, right? Many of these, there's not really that many nice people on OnlyFans, to be honest with you. I can count the amount of people I've spoken to who are nice on one hand. So they will try and manipulate you, right? They're going to try and get things for free. They're going to try and bully you into getting what they want. Oh, call me daddy. Call me daddy and you can be my slut, right? Well, I will do that. But you're going to have to fucking pay. Like, if a guy comes on a free page and he wants that immediately, I'm just going to push back and test his ego, right? I'm not going to give people whatever they want for free. Same with guys that just send dick pics or something, right? They're often just time wasters. Like 90% of the time, it's just a time waster. And they're looking for free gratification, right? They want compliments. So you can give people what they want, but they have to pay. Okay? It's really that simple. You're here to make money. You're here to make sales. I think I got that across to you yesterday. These people don't just get the right to talk to you however they want, whenever they want. Now, you'll make allowances for whales, right? Now, maybe whales can do a bit more, talking and talking in the way they want because they've earned that. They've earned that right by paying you, okay? But these random fans that just kind of want to be treated like a prince or something, just give them compliments. Okay, look, actually, just for reference, right, to kind of get my points across. There was I was covering yesterday. I'm doing a lot of chatting lately, actually, compared to I've probably done more chatting in the last week than I've done in the last 3 months. Okay, so there was a guy yesterday, and he came in and showed his picture, just a picture of himself, saying, "What do you think?" And he sent 2 pictures, and then in the second photo, he was trying to do like a sexy face, but he just looked fucking stupid. So I told him, like, you're not bad looking, but it's a really fucking weird pose in the second photo, right? So I'm being kind of, I'm not being rude. I'm just kind of being honest. Okay. Now, if the point here is if we compare that to like a standard dumb chatter, like I imagine if you go on a poorly managed page now, the girl's going to be horny immediately. Oh, I'm so fucking horny right now. I'm playing with my pussy or whatever. And then you send a picture of yourself, and you're going to be the most they're going to tell you that you're the most handsome guy ever, right? That's how bad chatters do. Everything is just way too fake, and you need to control people. Sometimes you need to break the rapport. Okay, it makes it seem more real. Okay, I'm not saying you need to be mean to people all the time. But just understand that, like, you're the one who should be in control of the conversation. If you're not, then you're doing something wrong. Okay? You need to take control. You need to lead the conversation where you want it to go, right? And if it's not going in the right direction, well, something's badly wrong. Okay? Another thing worth mentioning, we touched on this yesterday, is how to maintain control of conversations. And if someone asks you a question you don't like, you don't have to answer it. If someone asks you a question you don't want to answer, then you answer it with a question. Okay? That's generally a way to maintain control of conversations. Politicians do that a lot. Okay? If they are asked questions which don't benefit them, they don't answer them. They will answer with a question. That's it's just kind of a basic thing. Subs are allowed to save the pay. But what does this mean? I don't understand this question. Subs are allowed to save the pay-per-view for themselves. Could you rephrase that, please? Remember we went over. Oh no, I'm sure they can because there's leaks of OnlyFans, right? But maybe they do a screen record or something. But you can't download and share people's content on OnlyFans, or you're not meant to be able to. I mean, it's not really something to worry about. They can log into their account and view the things they purchased, but they can't download it to their computer. Well, theoretically, they can't download it to their computer. I'm sure they do, and I'm sure they can, because otherwise these leak websites wouldn't exist, right? But that's, yeah, kind of doesn't matter that much, I suppose. So remember we talked about ramping yesterday, right? We want to kind of, and even this is a bit high for some kind of low tier accounts, okay? Like $35, $40 for opening pay-per-view. On very high tier accounts, this is absolutely fine, but maybe on some kind of free lesser accounts, you can do $25. It really doesn't matter. Account dependent. You'll adjust to it. Don't worry about it. You'll figure that out for yourself pretty quick. The idea is you want to get to 200s, right? You want to try and get yourself to 200s. And remember, it's always important to make the first sale. Otherwise, you're not going to make any of these. Okay? But this kind of just to get my point across, right? Many of you are from poor countries, right? I can see that by your names or whatever. So maybe like $200 is a lot of money in your country, and you kind of need to get that out of your head for OnlyFans, okay? Like it is, even for me, right? I'm English. It's outrageous to spend $200 on some kind of sex video, but you know, we discussed yesterday. That's not 100. That's not the entire reason why they're here, right? They're here for many, many reasons, but just because, I don't know, maybe this is like more than someone earns in your country in a month, right? $200. Just because he'll drop it in like 20 seconds don't worry about it, right? Many of these guys, I don't know, they got like a architecture degree, or their family left them $600,000 when they died or something like that. These people have a lot more money than you, so just certainly don't feel bad taking it from them. Just because this number's a lot to you doesn't mean it's a lot to them. Okay, so don't be intimidated by large numbers. It's just numbers on a screen. Yes, it's money, but it's their money. It doesn't mean a whole lot to you. So again, we touched on this yesterday, right? Gatekeeping content. So the main thing here is the last sentence, right? Once we reach a content peak, we can't go up. So it's like climbing a mountain. Once you reach the top, you can't go any higher, right? There's nothing to stand on. So you've done it. Well, it's the same with OnlyFans. Once you've sold the most explicit content, there's nothing above that. Okay? So once the guy has seen the most explicit thing the model does, it's going to be very difficult to sell him other things, right? Maybe if the model is a hard worker and the guy has some money, you might be able to sell custom videos, but that's not something you should rely on. Okay, that's a nice option to have. That's not something you should rely on. So, you always need to keep in mind, have I peaked here? Because if you peaked and you haven't sold him the other stuff already, it's going to be quite difficult to sell him anything else. Remember, this is not an industry based on customer satisfaction, really. I'm sure people will say it is. They are wrong. This is an industry based off money, right? I don't care, and you shouldn't either, if the guy sees what he wants or not. That doesn't bother me. That doesn't concern me. That's not going to lose me sleep at night. Okay, what I'm concerned about is, do I get his money, right? We want him to have small dopamine hits, not big ones. Okay, so we used the amusement park example yesterday. If all the rides are closed, or half the rides are closed, you might go back because you were disappointed, right? You were mildly disappointed. You're going to go back because you want to experience that. If you go on all of the rides and you have a huge dopamine spike and you did everything you wanted to do, you probably will not go back. Okay? There's very small amounts of loyalty on OnlyFans. Yes, they do exist, primarily with whales only, right? Most guys jump from girl to girl. If you've ever chatted on multiple accounts that you've cross-promoted, right? You have 5 models and they've cross-promoted. The same guy might be talking to three models at once, right? And you're controlling them. It's not unusual to see things like that. And one last thing to note, right, is the price of content. It's elastic, okay? So if there's, I don't know, a student with an armpit fetish or something like that, maybe he values the armpit content at $30. However, the oil and gas engineer might value that at $300. He might be willing to pay that. Someone might be willing to value that at $3,000. Okay? So just understand there's a floor price, but there's never a ceiling. Okay? Just because it's $30 to this guy doesn't mean it's not $300 to this guy, right? And that's kind of true for many things in life. I mean, there's a market price for things in life, which is why we don't have this example, right? Like, you want to go and buy a new TV. The stores competing against one another. Well, this isn't a competition. There's only one of this girl. So, her price is going to be kind of based on how much money the guy has. If he has more money, you would be foolish to sell to him for cheaper, right? You can get more money out of him. Get more money out of him. Why not? And this is the last repeat slide of yesterday. We're talking about customer types, right? Or fan. Identifying types of fan. I will change the types of fans. That's probably better. So, they're going to reveal to you what kind of person they are, right? They're going to say some of these things for a reason. He says something like mistress. He says something like goddess. He says something like mommy. He's submissive. You're then going to ask further questions to find out how submissive he is, right? Is he up here on the scale where he wants to be made to lick the floor? Is he down here? Or is he here? Find out. But they're going to reveal that. You don't necessarily need to ask them. And in my opinion, it's kind of bad to ask people because it seems fake. Okay? It's a good question. So a fan says the content's too expensive for them. Well, it probably is, right? It's very rare you'd get a baller that says it's too expensive for him. But it does happen, okay? You can negotiate with those kind of people. It's okay to negotiate with them. I mean, just understand there's a floor price, right? That you don't want to go below for whatever they want. They don't get whatever they want for whatever price they want. But negotiations can be had. Okay? Just try and negotiate in your favor, as always. Like if he has $40 and he wants a sex tape or something, and that's the best content, that's not going to happen. Okay? You can say stuff like that, but I wouldn't say price. Okay? Price is a transactional word. Am I not worth it or something? Are you saying I'm not worth it? You can say that. Just don't use the word price. Yeah. I just really don't like transactional language. Okay, this is a short clip here about time wasters, right? Specifically, I would say on free accounts, but it also applies to paid accounts as well, I suppose.
Especially important is the warning to avoid conversations with a demon. We may ask what is relevant, but anything beyond that is dangerous. He's a liar. The demon is a liar. He will like to confuse us. But he will also mix lies with the truth to attack us. The attack is psychological, Damien. And powerful. So don't listen. Remember that. Do not listen.
Oliver, can I
Yes.
interrupt on something?
Of course.
The video is not clear. The video is not very clear. I cannot hear from my side.
Okay, you can read the captions though, right? It has closed captions. Anyway, the idea of the video, okay, it's from the movie The Exorcist, okay? And they're essentially saying like, don't talk to the demon. The demon's a liar. He'll mix lies with the truth to confuse us. It's psychological. And we're essentially talking about time wasters on OnlyFans. Okay, it's difficult to explain because you probably never experienced anything like this in life. But many of these guys will sit and talk as long as you let them, every day for hours a day. Okay, they have nothing better to do, and you send your mass message today, and he's going to waste your time today. I can guarantee you that guy's going to be back tomorrow and the next day and the next day until you had enough of him, right? He's just going to waste your time. So you got to kind of, it's ideal to identify these guys, especially if you have, more important people to talk to. You don't want to waste your time talking to absolute idiots about nothing who will essentially tell whatever lies they need to tell in order to continuously talk. And talking, especially on free accounts, doesn't lead anywhere, okay? Some people will call it, girlfriend experience or relationship building. Those people are idiots. They can't sell, okay? Most people are time wasters, okay? They're not to be engaged with. They're to be shut down. Okay? So, again, mostly on free accounts, but they are on paid accounts as well. People just sending dick pics, right? So, I think, there's a few women here today. If I just sent a dick pic to them randomly, that's fucking weird, right? They didn't ask for that. I just send it to them. It's unacceptable. Okay? So when a guy's sending you a dick pic, he obviously wants some kind of gratification. He wants you to open that to tell him like how great it is or something. So don't do it. Okay? If he's not spending, you can just say, I'm not opening that. I don't open things. I don't open people that send me things if they don't open what I send them. Okay? You can just offer him a trade. I'll open that if you open this. Otherwise, I won't. Right? $25 or whatever. Whatever you want to charge. Okay? Some people like to talk about their hobbies and things like that non-stop. Like these kind of mega autistic people. Now these are a bit better because you can sometimes build good relationships with these people, and especially if they have like the same kind of interests as the model, they can spend. But just know there's a big difference, right, between talking about this and not spending anything, and talking about this and spending a lot, right? One of those is acceptable, the other is not. Okay? These people are a big problem, right? The fake ballers, they'll always like I saw a guy say a couple of days ago, I spent $10,000 at the mall last weekend. I have a Lamborghini. I have this, I have that. Well, I don't give a fuck what you have. Okay? Until your wallet's open on OnlyFans, as far as I'm concerned, you're broke to me. And, anyone can say anything, right? I could tell you I have $23 million. I don't. But I could tell you I do. Yeah, I'm rich. I'm rich as hell. It doesn't mean anything, okay? And to be honest, most people with money, almost everyone with money on OnlyFans, doesn't talk about how rich they are. And kind of the same in real life. Rich people just are rich. Elon Musk and Jeff Bezos just spend their money and do whatever they want. They don't spend time on the internet telling other people how much money they have. That's what losers do, and it's what these people do. I think they're just trying to bait engagement. They don't actually have any money. That's been my experience. I can't even think of a time that hasn't been true. I'm sure there is one, but almost everyone I can think of who was pretending to be a baller was a complete loser. Okay, it will be different in real life. Well, it's not real life. It's OnlyFans. Okay, so again, this doesn't matter, right? Or some people who will just kind of give you negative comments. So I saw again. I told you I've been chatting a lot lately. There was a guy yesterday who asked a model to send him a picture of her dick, and then asked how old she was, and she's like, I don't know, 22 years old. And he said, you look 35, right? So, just another retard looking for attention, right? Not going to argue with him. I'm not going to give him the attention he wants. If he wants to go and talk shit to OnlyFans models for fun in his own time, go and do it to someone else, because I'm not interested in hearing it. I'm not going to give people like that time. Okay. So, with these kind of checks, you'll be able to see who's a time waster, who isn't, right? As a beginner, you're going to get your time wasted. Then you're going to slowly learn, oh, this guy's a complete idiot, and things like that. People who turn down pay-per-view offers constantly, right? So we're selling in a clever way. We're selling in a good way, right? We're not just spamming people with shit. So if they keep turning us down, and they don't have a good reason to, right? Like if a whale has lost his job, fair enough, right? We're going to give him slack. He's got to spend history. He can get a new job. He can start spending again. But if it's just some idiot that's like, I don't know, from Egypt or something and just wants free shit, fuck him, right? Don't talk to him. It's a time waster. Okay, here's an example of one. Just an insane, I mean, this is when I used to chat a long time ago, just an insane statement to make, right? I've sent him a pay-per-view for $200. And now he's asking me to send him a screenshot for $1,000. It just doesn't make any logical sense. He wants a free pussy picture. It's that simple. He's not getting it. So I have to send him that for free, and then he sends me $1,000 rather than just buy a video for $200. Doesn't make any sense. Okay, doesn't make any sense. Okay, another guy, right? Just this guy was an insane retard time waster. You can see here, all zeros, 0, expired off. Probably came from a free trial as well. Subscription 1 month means he's been here for at least 30 days. Between 30 and 59 days means he's been here. Nothing. And he just wants to sext at work. Okay, he's at work. He wants to sext all day at work. I give him like a $27 pay-per-view. He can't do it. He'll unlock it after work, but he'll sext during work. Well, no thank you. Okay? People like this. In fact, if people are recording, I'm not going to say it, but people like this shouldn't exist. Let's say that. People like this shouldn't exist, and they should do something with themselves. Let's say that. I think we all know what that is. But, it's just a loser. Okay, I'm going to mute the loser. He's muted here. He wants to sext all day. He doesn't want to unload $27 while he's at work, apparently. I doubt this guy has a job. Okay? Time waster, loser, fuck him. This guy, right? Just trying some kind of reverse psychology 101. I've given him a pay-per-view. I said, well, it's up to you. I'm not going to try and convince you to open it. It's up to you. You asked for it. You wanted it. Now you're trying this or whatever. He says trust goes a long way to keeping a long-term customer. He's written lol twice because he knows he's lying, right? He's essentially trying to say here, I want whatever content I want for $30. I want to see whatever I want for as cheap as possible. That's what he's trying to say. Okay? I don't want that to happen. Okay? They're pretty much, and he's called himself a customer as well, right? Which is a very transactional word. Okay? If someone calls themselves a customer on OnlyFans, they're probably not a good fan, right? The whales would not consider themselves customers. They would consider it more of a friendship or some kind of parasocial relationship, not a customer relationship. Okay, he says trust goes a long way. Well, it doesn't really. It does. There is no trust here. You're all scumbags who would, stab your own mother for $10. I know what you guys are like. Okay, there's no trust. There's very few long-term fans. Okay, they do exist. This guy's certainly not one of them. Just a baller here, 3 months AK. or whatever. Okay, so we went into this yesterday and we skipped through it, right? Let me just. Okay. We have plenty of time. I just wanted to check where we are. Remember, if you have questions, guys, you can ask. So damage control, right? It's gonna be kind of what separates the good from the bad. I think it's kind of difficult to teach this to a degree. I think it can be taught to an extent, but if you have a brain which isn't that smart, then this is probably going to be difficult for you. Maybe this job isn't for you. Okay. As I said, I'd rather be honest with people than waste their time and tell people, anyone can be a chatter, anyone can do it, it's easy. Well, it's not. Okay. You need to be smarter than other people, pretty much, and more hardworking. But damage control, right? A good attitude to have is you never want to damage accounts yourself, right? Because you hold yourself to a high standard, or you take your job seriously. You don't really want to cause damage, okay? But just assume your colleagues don't care and they're going to make damage for you, okay? Then you're never going to be upset, right? You're never going to be like, oh, he's done this again, she's done that again. Just assume other people are going to make damage, okay? And you're there to fix it. That's your job. And again, like, damage control only really exists for big spenders. If some random guy is like really fucking upset at me for no reason because he spent $36 and I've ruined his day, that's not damage control. I really don't care. I really don't care. I'm not here to. I know some bad agencies, every guy has to be happy. Every guy has to be treated nice. Well, no thanks. I'd rather have the money, to be honest with you. I'm not really interested in treating people nicely or not. That's not something that concerns me on OnlyFans. So we can still limit damage control. We don't want damage to happen. Okay, so the main thing is we keep notes on people, right? Inflow allowed. Well, I only use Inflow. I assume other CRMs like OnlyMonster and what's the other one called? Creator Hero. I assume they have notes as well. Like, I'd be very surprised if they didn't, but I've never used them personally. So you can have notes about people, right? His mom died last month. Well, you wouldn't write last month, right? Because that note gets out of date pretty quick. His mom died September 2025. Okay? So now if someone comes on the account that hasn't been on there for a while, they're not going to ask, how's your mother? Okay? Are both your parents still around? Okay. No, I told you she died in September. I was sad for 3 weeks, remember? We're going to avoid those problems. Same for, like, after a shift, right? You should usually write a clock out report. Did anything of note happen? Okay, just so the next person knows this dog is sick, or this guy's dog is sick, or something like that, right? He's upset right now. Just so we don't. I think the worst thing that can happen, in my opinion, is, like, let's say a guy's mom did die and he tells you, and then the next person asks, how's your mom? Or whatever. Not because it upsets him, but, like, he knows at that point that this is a different person, right? The illusion is gone. Okay? In my opinion, that's the worst thing that can happen on OnlyFans, is when those kind of mistakes happen. So you really want to limit them, okay? They'll still happen, but you want to limit them. But there's always ways to recover, okay? Always remember there's a way to recover. Just because you damage someone doesn't mean it's over, okay? It's over if you start apologizing. Oh, it won't happen again. I'll give you a discount. I'll do this for you. I'll do that for you. Those are customer service methods, okay? That's the kind of thing that will happen. If I call PayPal now There's going to be a nice Filipino lady on the phone, and she's going to tell me whatever I want to hear. Okay? It will be bullshit. Oh, I'm so sorry that happened. Oh, I'm sorry to hear that happened. Oh, I really empathize with you or whatever. That's not good. Okay? They'll say something like that. Okay? Well, that's not real life. Again, that's not how these relationships work, right? So you could be sweet and innocent with them. You could argue with them. You could gaslight them. You could go crazy X on them, right? It doesn't really matter. Or it does. But like what I'm saying is there's no silver bullet solution to damage control. It's always going to depend on the event. Okay? It's always going to depend on the event and the fan. What happened and what's the guy like? That's going to determine your course of action. Okay, so number one here, right? He's a 35k spender. He doesn't believe it's the model who runs the account anymore. He's convinced it's not her. He's asking why he should stay, right? So what he's trying to do here, if we go back to slide, what slide's this? 16. What's he trying to do, right? He's trying to remove the power dynamic. He's trying to move the power dynamic in his favor. Okay, why should I stay? He wants me to tell him why he should stay. He wants me to beg him to stay. He wants to feel valued. Well, that's not going to happen. Okay? Because as soon as I do that, the ball's in his court. Okay? He wants me to beg him to stay. I'm not going to do that. Instead, I'm going to say, like, honestly, that's one of the most upsetting things anyone said to me on here. And I thought we were more than that. I thought that you actually respected me. I thought I got on well with you. I actually really enjoyed talking to you as a person. And the fact that you would say that I'd give my password to some random Indian guy and let him talk to you really fucking hurts me right now. And honestly, I'm pretty upset because of that. I'm not sure if it's it's your internet then. Okay. So you're just gonna gaslight someone like that. You could, as it's a 35k spender, hopefully if the model is diligent and she cares about her work, she will make a video saying that kind of thing. Okay? But don't back down. Don't back down to these guys, right? You're manipulating them, yes. But what was the guy trying to do to you? He was trying to manipulate you. Okay? It's just a battle. So if this guy's smarter than you, he'll run rings around you. But you need to be the one running rings around him. Okay? Don't let him take that from you. You know, the guy spent $4,000 or whatever for a custom or whatever, was told it would take 2 days to complete. Now it's September 29th. What do? You know, you just stall him. Okay? Oh my god, I'm so silly. I recorded it and then I left my laptop in a coffee shop and it got stolen. I'm really kind of anxious now because I think, you know, I had all my personal videos on there and I think someone might leak it. You know, I know I'm on OnlyFans, but I really like my privacy, and I think, you know, this is kind of shaken me, and I will make it, but this has kind of knocked my confidence, something like that, right? As you can see, for these damage control situations, we're always using emotion, okay? You can't really argue with emotion. It's very difficult. They should be understanding, okay? This last one, right? You could apologize, but you're going to do it in a sensible way. Oh my god, I'm so silly. I'm so silly. I meant to send that to you for free so I could cheer you up, right? Just give the 25k spender some free content. I wouldn't usually do it, to be honest with you. I really wouldn't usually do it, but in here, oh my god, I'm so silly. I meant to send that to you for free to cheer you up. Give him the free pay-per-view. He's a 25k spender. He'd be like, oh, thank you. right? And then he won't be mad. Oh, she was trying to be nice to me. She didn't mean to do that. Exactly, right? Whatever gets you out of the mess, use it. There's other methods too, right? Like, sometimes you can do this kind of stuff, but this will not work too well. Stalling's always good. Being sweet, right? So every chat is going to have a style. I think you can probably tell by now. My style is not sweet, right? But if you have more of a feminine personality, okay? Some guys do, many women do, okay? Many female chatters. If you have more of a feminine personality, you can probably use that to your advantage, right? There's nothing wrong with that. There's not a right and a wrong way to be, okay? My style often comes across as very aggressive. That's not always the best. Sometimes it's good to have like a feminine touch, right? So just note that like this stuff is fine too, as long as you do it properly, okay? As long as you maintain the control, okay? Gaslight's always good. Crazy X, debatable, okay? Sometimes good. Sometimes, I don't know how good it is as a method. It's just be a dumbass, right? Pretend. Because like a lot of people think OnlyFans models are really stupid, and some of them are, but like honestly, like they're really not that dumb. Some of them, some are, some aren't. Right? It's like every kind of profession in life. Some people stupid, some people not. You can just pretend to be a dumbass, pretend you don't understand anything, and then they'll kind of get frustrated and give up. I've done that before, but it really depends. Really depends. Aftercare, right? So this is something I wouldn't even train you guys in. Like if you can't do this by yourself, you're fucked. Okay. Like this is, I think this is something people should be able to do without any training. Actually, I think this is the easiest part of chatting. I haven't really seen anyone fail it ever. Just aftercare. You know, just kind of be respectful after you take a lot of money from someone and try to kind of give them a good experience so they come back next time. It's really that simple. I imagine everyone here would be able to do that anyway. It's, you know, it's human nature, actually. In my opinion, it's human nature. So pay-per-views, right? We were discussing this yesterday, I think. I probably should have put those slides in again, right? They'd called it something like heightened content strategy. They'd given it some like special name, if we remember. Yeah, they called it this, right? Heightened content strategy. And they'd given this as the pay-per-view, right? So you wouldn't complain if. Okay? Would you object if? Would it be wrong if? Okay? Not every pay-per-view needs to be like this, okay? But as a beginner, this kind of thing you want to do, right? It's descriptive, it's kind of bait. You're not scamming, but you're not telling them what it is. Remember I told you how to sell something yesterday, like sell a car. You don't just list off the features of the car, right? That's a bad way to sell. So when you're talking to a guy and you're going through sexting or whatever you're going through, you're kind of learning what his needs are, what his desires are, and then you're going to sell the pay-per-view in a way that fits those desires, okay? You're not just going to say, here's a hot video of me. I'm playing with my pussy, okay? That's probably not going to work. That's not the best way to sell, okay? It's really... I mean, it's not. I was going to say it's really that simple. It's not simple, but that's kind of how it works, right? This is like leading into sales, and I think, you can't always do this, okay? You can't always get away from these areas and into what you want. Ideally you could, right? But I'm going to teach you this in a minute, actually, how to lead into sales, okay? It's this slide here. Okay, but this is generally what to do, okay? You know, you always want to add a few photos and a couple of videos, okay? If you add 2 videos to a pay-per-view, the timestamp is hidden. If you add 1 video, the timestamp is visible. Always remember that. So you can make a bundle of content look like good value by adding 2 videos. You could put 2 2-second videos in, and all the guy can see is that it's 2 videos. If you put 1 video in that's 2 seconds, he can see that's a 2-second video. He will not buy it. Okay. Ideally, right? I'd say ideally, you want to leave the customer mildly disappointed and asking for more. Okay. That's the ideal situation. Not always possible, right? Sometimes he will just come. Sometimes he will be super fucking disappointed. Okay, we don't want either of those things. We want this, ideally. And you're not going to always be able to do that. Okay? You're not always going to be able to do that. But you got to try your best to do that. Okay, so this is where generally chatters go wrong. Okay, so I'd say there's like 2 types of bad chatters. One are the kind who just rely on sexting, live sexting scripts, right? I mean, if anyone's worked in the industry, I'm sure they're probably familiar with that. Sometimes the model will make a kind of script where you trick the fan into thinking that something's happening live, and that's the way to sell to them, okay? And then those people do that, and then they run out of ideas, and then they try to sell customs, okay? That's number 1 bad chatter. Just kind of following a path. The same for absolutely everyone. No diversity, so if the guy has different needs, they don't know how to sell to him. Stick down the path, the guy actually succeeds, sell him a custom. Do you want a hot custom from me, babe? They'll say that. And then the guy will, in the ideal situation, he says yes to them and they make more money, but in reality, they won't get there, or the guy says no, and then they don't know what to do. Okay, the other bad chatter is kind of the girlfriend experience ones. I don't know if this still exists, but this was a thing like a few years ago, where they just kind of sit and talk nonstop, and then sometimes they get sales, sometimes they don't. Okay, they're not very sales focused, they don't know how to make sales. Okay, this is the kind of standard way of how to make money as a chatter. Okay, again, it's more nuanced than this, but this is kind of the bread and butter where most of your sales would be coming from, right? You're sending out a mass message, okay? And I'm going to speak about mass messages tomorrow. That's something which is still quite bad within the industry, okay? There's still a lot of stupid mass messages being sent, which are generally the girl being horny all the time. Send me a picture of your dick right now, I'm so fucking horny, right? Not a good mass message. But anyway, we want to send a good mass message, and then we want to kind of follow up, right? We want to have our follow-ups in our mind already, so we kind of know which way the conversation's going to go. And ideally, it's towards a sale. And then we're going to have some kind of back and forth with the fan, and he's ideally going to be very positive and receptive to what we say, and kind of push himself to a degree towards the sale, right? He's going to be very hyped up. He's going to be ready. And then we're going to send the pay-per-view, okay? And that's going to be, all you can do in this job is give yourself the best possible chance. You need to put yourself in a situation that gives you the best possible chance to sell a pay-per-view. That's all you can do. You can't force people to buy. It's a numbers game. Okay? You got to give yourself the best unlock rate you possibly can. And this is generally the way to do it. Okay? Ballers, it's a bit different. Okay? To be honest, talking to a baller is probably more like what you would have thought this industry's like before I told you. Okay? And I'd say this this last kind of point is important. In fact, this should be on a new line, and it's not necessarily true here. Okay, so this is not my quote, this is someone else's. And I just thought it was good, so I stole it. Remember, if you're not talking to your ballers and building a relationship with them, or making them spend, someone else will be. These are not loyal customers and will switch girls if given the chance. I'd say this is true like 70% of the time, okay? He's a baller on you. He's also a baller on 2 other girls, okay? You will sometimes get a guy who's only on you, okay? But that's very rare. Again, you know, I was in a fortunate opportunity to work for the largest chatting agency, and you know, we would have a guy who, you know, you'd be like, oh, this guy's 12K spend on here. He's a baller. He's a baller on this model. And then you talk to someone else in the agency and they'd be like, well, he's a 26K spender on my model. Right? And it's the same guy. And if you don't have that kind of scale, then you'd never know that. You just assume he's your baller, but he's not. He's several people's baller. Okay. So there is still, you know, competition when it comes to these guys. So this is just an example of how I got into a pay-per-view like last year or something. Just something I thought of. It's kind of stupid, but it, you know, it did the job. Okay, so I'd send out the mass message. You know, it's bad luck, right? So I haven't said anything about being horny or anything like that. I've just said, you know, it's bad luck, right? And I already know. And this is something we're going to study tomorrow's mass messages. So I'm not going to go into this in too much detail, but we already know what they're going to say. What's bad luck? And then I say that. And then they say, I don't know. And then they're going to say, no, I don't want bad luck. And then they're going to say, okay, I'm ready. Okay, that's the ideal thing. Then they're going to be hit with a pay-per-view. Okay. Again, we're not promising anything. We're just kind of, in this case, we're telling them what to do, but we're not promising them content, right? We're not saying this is this particular video, right? We're just following out on from here. It's all relevant. It's all contextual. This has a strong relation to this conversation. If your pay-per-view isn't related to the conversation you've just had, the conversation you've just had, and it's like a stock pay-per-view, it's not going to work, right? It's not going to make sense to the fan. Oh, she was talking about this a minute ago. Now it's just this weird thing she's written. Is this a bot? That doesn't really make sense. That's what's going to go through their mind. Okay, so if anyone wants to have a go at this pay-per-view here, you can write your own now. Okay, I'm going to put this in the channel. Have a go writing your own pay-per-view for this. See what you come up with, and then I will review it. Okay? We can do that now. And that's that for today. So tomorrow we're going to talk about mass messages. But yeah, try this now, and then I'll review it. And then, well, if you want, that's up to you. But pay-per-view writing, I'd say, is quite important in this industry. Probably leading into sales is more important, but do that. I will tell you if it's good, bad, or whatever, and then that will be that. And then let me just kill the stream and then just confirm we're going to train tomorrow. I need to look at some stuff to confirm my availability.